Okay, so I have all 6 of my repeats divided up now, and I went ahead and did the tear, and then all you had to do is stretch out the selvage a little bit where it bunches down here. So now I have them all laid out. It's important because the design repeats itself, but each selvage is not the same. So you have to match up the 6 same selvages on each piece of your fabric. So you want to make sure that the design, you have it going the correct way, or it will totally ruin the process. So see how all 6 of these are the same side of the fabric, and then on this side the selvages all match too, because the design all matches like that. So there's 2 different methods. Well, I'm sure there's plenty of methods, but I've seen a couple different for how to line up this fabric. I pretty much just eyeball it. A little bit of variance isn't going to kill you, but if you're super precise, I've seen how they'll take a pin, they'll find the same spot of a fabric and say, we're going to do this point of this flower. They go through and they put it through the first, then they go through the point of the second flower, and they make sure they line it up like that through the same exact spot through every layer, like this, so that you get through all 6 layers at the same exact spot. So then you make the pin stand up, and now you know your fabric is perfectly matched up. And they do that pin spot, throughout the fabric to make sure it's lined up. I don't really do that because I don't really have time for all of that. So what I do is I just allow myself to have a little bit of waste. So say I'm going to do 3-inch triangles. Here's my tool. So I would do, and there's my little friend Trixie. So this mark here for 3 inches is right here. So I would lay this on the fabric, and instead of cutting exact so that it has to be perfect, I'd add an extra 1/2 inch. So I would actually cut at the 4 mark line, cut my strip widths. That way I have a little bit of fudging room. And because when you cut 6 layers, it's going to shift a little bit. So you don't want to have it shift a little bit and then have your design be completely off. So if you have that little bit of extra, I'll show you when I cut, it really helps. So what I will do now is I'm going to cut 4 inches. So I'm going to measure from the edge of the selvage 4 inches in on every single piece of the fabric. And it's also helpful, like when I marked the repeats, to mark in the same part or same spot in the design. So I will probably mark the 4 inches in from this selvage. I'm going to show you that right now. Is about right here, right along here. So I will probably cut right on this little spot, we'll say like the middle of this green, for every single layer, and then I will just rip it along that way. That way the strips are completely even and they're in the same exact spot. Now it's going to be, like I said, if you're cutting 3-inch triangles from 4.5 inch strips, you're going to have a little bit of waste, but I found it so much more accurate and not stressful because I could wiggle stuff around, and I'll show you that later. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a 4-inch strip right now. I'll be back.